How's it hanging? It's Web Studios here. I'm Reed.
And I'm Jax.
And today we're going to be talking about Venom 3.
It's actually Venom: The Last Dance.
We're going to be talking about Venom: The Last Dance. Now, we don't know anything about this movie.
Well, actually, you know the name.
We know one thing about this movie, and it's called Venom: The Last Dance.
In all seriousness, we actually have not gotten really anything about this movie. The only kind of rumor and speculation that we have is that it's taking place in Mexico right after Spider-Man No Way Home. But other than that, there really isn't a lot out there.
There is one rumor in particular that's Eddie Brock trying to find the Spider-Man in his universe, and it's like a little kid and like he becomes the mentor to him. And if that's the actual movie, dude, then Sony needs to get their stuff together, okay? Because after watching Madam Web, my tolerance for them has gone down. So if it's not like good, dude, I'm busting. Because we think that Sony's gonna screw this up, we compiled 5 different plots that we guarantee will be better than whatever Sony's gonna put out. Plot number 5 is still Venom: The Last Dance. However, we're taking that last dance literally. He is in Mexico. He's gonna find this old mentor who knows how to salsa, and they're gonna teach him how to salsa. So over the course of several months, he's gonna be climbing this dance ladder and going against people that we've seen in the Sony universe. Like Vulture, Morbius, and even El Muerto, played by Bad Bunny, which Sony wanted to do for some reason. This could be like the Avengers of this universe, except they're all in a dance-off. So the final boss of this movie is... So Venom's final boss in this dance competition, and then the final boss is Spider-Man.
Plot number 4 is going to be about Venom and Toxin going to the symbiote homeworld. Toxin is going to find a way to successfully get back to their homeworld, and Venom is going to follow him on the way there. Once they get there, they're going to find Null, and then Venom and Toxin are going to be forced to team up to fight Null and defeat him to take back the homeworld. After Venom and Toxin beat Null and they successfully have power over the planet, Toxin is going to try to take over from Venom instead of it being a split rule. Venom and Toxin are going to get in a huge fight, and Venom is going to be forced to sacrifice himself to save Eddie, which shows that he has grown and that he has come to value humans over himself. After Venom beats Toxin and sacrifices himself, he's going to leave behind Anti-Venom, which allows Eddie to get back home to Earth.
We think that this movie would really take the scale up from the previous 2 movies and would really seem like a massive send-off to the entire Venom franchise. And while it would be expensive, and we know that this can't be it because he's in Mexico the entire movie, we still think that this would just be such a cool way of doing it, and I hope that we can see something like this in the future. Plot number 3 starts with an action sequence. It's Venom against Mac Gargan the Scorpion. Of course, this is a Spider-Man villain, but I think it'd be cool if we see Venom fighting more superpowered people besides symbiotes. So I think that this would be a great way to do some world building on this universe. Of course, Venom wins and he sends Scorpion to jail, and Scorpion vows his revenge, all that supervillain stuff. Later in the movie, Eddie, Ann, and her boyfriend Dan are discussing things. Eddie eventually somehow gets talked into coming for a checkup at the doctor's office. The doctor reveals that Venom has slowly been giving Eddie cancer. Obviously, Eddie does not like this at all, so he does his absolute best to get rid of Venom. Venom obviously doesn't want to leave Eddie because he's such a good match. So it becomes very much like Spider-Man 3, or just the symbiote story in general, as Eddie's trying to get him off of him. Eventually there is a bell tower scene where Eddie is able to get rid of him, but it's revealed that once the symbiote falls, it falls on Mac Gargan. Mac Gargan escaped from prison because he is inside Friends, so obviously he's gonna go crazy and like pray to God that Eddie dies. However, it lands on him and he becomes the new Venom. Eddie doesn't really know what to do. He's powerless, he has cancer, he has no idea what he's gonna do, so he kinda just has to run for his life. However, he comes in contact with someone who runs an operation known as Feast, Martin Lee. Unbeknownst to Eddie, Martin Lee is Mr. Negative, who has negativity powers. As soon as Martin Lee makes contact with Eddie, whatever remaining cells that Eddie had with the symbiote become anti-Venom. Eddie turns into anti-Venom. The symbiote is very similar in personality to Venom, it's just a little bit nicer, you know? A little bit less prone to eating heads, and it has less weaknesses. So finally, a final showdown between Mac Gargan Venom and anti-Venom occurs. It is absolutely fantastic, and finally we have symbiotes that aren't almost the same color or in complete darkness fighting each other. It's just a spectacle as we're able to see all of the new powers anti-Venom has, and how much more insane Venom has grown since the past 2 movies. At the end of the movie, anti-Venom does come out on top, but unfortunately Eddie succumbs to his cancer and dies. Thankfully, anti-Venom is able to attach to someone who goes to Midtown High. As to that is, we don't really know, but it's probably Flash Thompson.
I think that this would be a cool way to end off the franchise and to lead it into a new role with a new actor. This also gives Sony more opportunities to make movies, hopefully not like Madam Web though. Plot number 2 is going to drop us right into Mexico right after No Way Home, just like all of the rumors have been saying. Venom, since he now has this connection with Spider-Man, is going to try to seek him out. They head to New York City through the hive mind of all of the symbiotes. They are able to locate Spider-Man. Venom and Spider-Man have a fight, and then Venom is drawn to Spider-Man. Because of this, Venom is going to leave Eddie during the fight and latch on to Spider-Man. This leaves Eddie with no symbiote and no powers, and Spider-Man with the black suit.
This will kind of allow Andrew Garfield to finally get his symbiote arc. We actually won't see anything from Andrew Garfield's perspective. We're going to see it from Eddie's perspective, be it news reports, seeing battles on the street. It's just going to be like a little montage of black suit Andrew Garfield just beating up some villains. And Eddie obviously doesn't like this. He thinks that Venom totally betrayed him, which he did, and Eddie is not very happy. Eventually, Eddie is walking down the street and he sees Spider-Man swing over to a church. He's not super happy with Spider-Man, so he thinks that he's gonna go like make a big deal about it. So he goes to the bottom of the church, then he sees Spider-Man ripping Venom off. This of course is super reminiscent of all the symbiote stories, and it's just a great homage to that. We see Spider-Man from the bottom of the bell tower, we see Spider-Man up at the top ripping it all off. Of course, Venom reattaches to Eddie. Eddie is not happy with Venom. Venom, though, is of course not happy with Spider-Man, and they're both not happy with Spider-Man, so they both decide to put aside their differences and go beat up Spider-Man. Since Venom has been on Spider-Man, he keeps the white spider. This finally allows him to keep the white spider, and he can finally look like his comic self. There's this great fight that's finally Andrew Garfield's time to shine against a symbiote, and they have this awesome battle which Venom loses. Venom, of course, thinks that he's the good guy in this, but when they hear a news report about how Spider-Man took down this monstrous evil villain, they finally decide that the hero thing isn't really for them, and they go back to Mexico for a life of leisure.
We really think that this brings the series full circle. Of course, Venom is going to become more comic accurate and attain that white spider that he hasn't had for the entirety of the trilogy, which kind of represents his evolution into being more of a different person. This also could be a little bit of a tie-in with Andrew Garfield's universe to help bring him back and maybe even get us a third Andrew Garfield movie, which fans have really been wanting to see throughout the years. This is our personal choice for how we would want the movie to go, and I just think that it's the best way for Sony to end it.
That brings us to plot number 1. A lot of you might be wondering, why did we say that the other one was our personal favorite, but this is plot number 1? That's because this one is by far the most fun. We like to call this one Venomverse. Of course, we didn't come up with that, but we did perfect it. The entire plot of this movie is pretty much non-existent. It is just a fun way to send the character of Venom off. Ever since Eddie and Venom got back to their home universe after No Way Home, they've noticed that some weird things have been happening. It's almost like when Venom attached himself to the hive mind that goes across the multiverse, and then he transported the multiverse, it's been doing weird things, like pulling in other Venoms. One of the first people that they meet is Topher Grace Venom. Of course, Topher Grace is significantly more evil than Tom Hardy Venom, so they kind of fight, and then they realize that they're more alike than they might think. And then another Venom comes in, which is the Insomniac Universe Venom. Then another one from the 90s show, and another one from Spectacular Spider-Man, and another one from the Spider-Man game on the PlayStation. All of these guys start coming together, and it is just absolutely bonkers. They're all in Mexico, they are terrorizing the city, not really on purpose, they're just kind of frightening everybody in the city. Eddie doesn't really know what to do with himself because there's so many of him, and he sees all these ways that he could have turned out differently. Now, he maybe could have turned out better or worse or all of these just different ideas that really mess with Eddie's head. Eventually, Toxin from the last movie comes into play. All of the Venom symbiotes need to defeat him, and he is probably more powerful than all of them combined. They don't really know what to do, and some of them don't even want to help one another. So Tom Hardy Eddie has to unite them. They all have to team up to finally defeat Toxin. And it is just absolutely brutal. We see all these Venoms that we've known and that we've loved just get slaughtered. But due to multiverse shenanigans or something, somehow they keep coming back. There's more and more and more of them, and it's almost like duplicates, but there's like very slight differences. And one of them even says, "I always come back." And it's just absolutely bonkers, but they are able to finally defeat Toxin. And since there are no more symbiote offsprings, that's pretty much it. Of course, all the symbiotes from other universes slowly get sent back to their own universe, maybe due to Spider-Man 2099, maybe due to Deadpool, but before any of them get sent back,
Eddie brings them all together and tells them about this dance party in Mexico. They all go to this place. Of course, they scare off all of the civilians, and then they all have a dance party as they get sent back to their universes. We get a good send-off for Topher Grace Venom, for Insomniac Venom, for Tom Hardy Venom, and all of them as they all fade away and go back to their universes in an epic dance battle.
In case you're wondering, the song that they're dancing to is, of course, Venom by Eminem. We believe that this brings the entire trilogy full circle, and all I want to do is let you guys know. Thank you so much for watching, and remember, Venom! I got that adrenaline momentum, and I'm knowing when I'm gonna show up in him, when you snap any momentum, it's time to go get him, they ain't gonna know what hit him.